Check that out. Gorgeous, gorgeous broccoli. This variety is known as Green King. This is a hybrid broccoli. I love it. It always does really well. We have been having an amazing summer so far. It has been super warm. We're out here doing quite a bit of harvesting today. We're going to take you guys along, give you a little garden update and show you what we're harvesting. This is our 4th year having a garden, and I really think that the soil is doing some awesome things. So I can't wait to show you guys. One thing I'm super excited about this year is how good our squash is doing. This is our zucchini row and also pumpkins and winter squash. So winter squash does require a pretty long growing season, like 90 plus days. And we just have 90 days. So on a summer like this with the heat, it's really helping us. We have squash about this big already, which is awesome. I can't believe it. We're probably actually gonna have squash. There's been years where I have this many plants and I don't even have a handful of squash at the end of the year. So the zucchini always do well because they have a much shorter growing season, and these ones are doing pretty good so far this year. We don't know what kind this is, but it's striped. It's kind of funny looking, has a little skinny body, but we are gonna harvest quite a few of these for dinner tonight, doing like a vegetable casserole dish. We've got a really big dark one in here too, but we are saving that one. We're gonna let it get pretty big so we can make some boats out of it or stuff it. And I have a yellow variety too, but it's taking a little bit longer to develop. So one of our main things that Eric and I are harvesting today is radishes. We are making radish salsa. We have an abundance of them. I don't know how they did good this year with the heat, but we got lucky and they did well, so we have a lot. And this looks like a carrot to me, but it is actually a radish, and I don't even know what variety it is, but it's that's huge. This guy's got some dancing legs for us. We've got a lot to harvest. Should I let them get bigger? These are so big. I don't, look at that. That's a nice radish. Really nice size. Can't complain about that. Those are big. This is just too many radishes to eat too. We can't keep up with these fresh, so we went a little overboard when I planted them. Lots of different varieties in here. We have French breakfast, has a little white on the bottom. He's a little funny shape though. And then I had a purple variety, but I'm thinking we ate most of them. It's really pretty skin. Actually looks like a beet. We've got some Swiss chard for that dinner too, and I have a mix of varieties here, probably like 6 different kinds, so I don't really know what's what, except for the white one with the white rib is Ford Hook Giant. They do get really, really big, hence the name. And this one's awesome. This one almost never bolts. The other ones, I've had to learn that Swiss chard just likes a little bit warmer temperatures. They don't like to be subjected to really cold temperatures, which we have in the spring. So I usually start it a little bit later, and I also transplant it a little bit later in the season. Does it look pretty good? Okay, it's time to harvest our scapes. So our garlic has been doing really well this year, and we grow hardneck varieties, and hardneck varieties put off a flower bud or a stalk, and it is called a scape. They are totally edible. They are awesome, and you want to get to them pretty quickly because once you cut them off, this will put the energy back down into the bulb, and we're after the bulb because it is garlic. We don't necessarily want a flower. Eric and I are going to come along and snip all these off, and I know we probably have 100 or so. Last 2 garlic scapes. We ended up with an amazing harvest here, and we have lots of things planned for these, but we are not ready to go inside just yet. We're making a dent in our lettuce, but we have to harvest that one pretty soon because it is getting out of control. Our kohlrabi is coming along nicely, and we have already been able to harvest a few. There's still a lot more grown in here. The celery, on the other hand, was a little bit slow to start. I don't really know why that was. Maybe they just didn't like being transplanted since they were so mature at that time. And we also, it was really hot like right that week after we planted. So I think that may have attributed to it, but it's going now. It looks good. I'm not sure we'll get huge stalks off of it, but at least we'll get something. Harvesting this purple broccoli, we've already harvested quite a few, and you can tell this one is about to open, so we want to get to it before that. I really like this kind. We just started growing this year. I'm a huge fan of purple colored vegetables, so I'm kind of a sucker for them. Something that's really neat to grow that we grew back in Oregon was called sprouting broccoli. So you can't grow it here, it's too harsh of a climate, but you actually start it in the summer and then you will get purple sprout broccoli in the middle of the winter, so like December to March, which is awesome. For the most part, our brassicas have been doing phenomenal this year, which is really cool because it's a hot year. They don't typically like temperatures like that, but our broccoli and our cauliflower are pretty staggered, so we don't have to eat them all at once. We don't usually preserve any broccoli, we just like it for fresh eating. Cauliflower holds up a lot better to processing, so sometimes we do that with that. And we haven't yet harvested cabbage, but we have a whole slew of them. The second brassica row looks stellar. We've got kale, Brussels, cauliflower just forming, and a whole bunch of more cabbage. I wish I could say everything in the garden was doing great, but that is not the case. Every year there's stuff that just doesn't always do that well. Sometimes certain years other things do better than other plants. This year the beets and the carrots were a little bit slow to go, so I don't expect that much from those. Our onions was surprisingly the same situation. I think it was because it was so dry when we planted them, because we had amazing starts and little transplants that we started from seed, and they were really strong, but they're definitely growing a little bit slower. Starting to kind of make a comeback, but I'm thinking that's going to be a little bit of a miss this year. And the potatoes behind me, those are usually a lot bigger by now. We usually see them like spilling over the row and have a bunch of flowers. This year when we got our potatoes, they weren't broken out of dormancy all the way, and I planted them immediately, which was a mistake because they took forever to sprout up. The strawberry row and the asparagus row are sadly almost like a complete loss. There's still plants in there, they're still hanging on, but they have been totally overcome with weeds, and that is our fault. We definitely are gonna have to redo those beds if we want to have strawberries or asparagus in the future. And I'm gonna need like some thick fabric or something, because right now it is all weeds in here. Here we go, we're heading into my favorite part of our garden. You can tell things are just flourishing in here with all the heat we've had. Things look great. We have tomatoes, peppers ripening, and our sunflowers are actually reaching the top of our high tunnel, which is 8 feet. This is reminiscent of a summer we had. The first summer we actually were here, which was very warm, and I think it was even warmer than this year, and our stuff just went crazy in here. So we are fortunate for the nice summer we've had. I want to show you guys how the corn's doing. So I wasn't too positive that we were actually going to get corn this year, but each of these stalks has 2 ears on it, which is awesome, and I think it pollinated pretty well. I had some fans in here, and I've also been shaking these. So those up top are the tassels, and down here are the silks on the little ears of corn, and they have to get pollen all over them in order to pollinate each little kernel in the corn. In fact, these stalks are making more than one tassel, which is awesome because I think I'm gonna get like a second chance at pollinating everything. So hopefully all goes well with that and we actually get corn this year. That would be amazing. Further down the line, we have green beans, just some random herbs and stuff, and then the cucumbers. The cucumbers are doing really well this year too. This variety is Muncher. We're growing probably 3 different varieties in here, but this is one of my favorites. It's actually like a pickling and a snacking cucumber, and it's awesome. Check that out. The real reason we're in here is to harvest peppers. We've got to get some of our jalapenos and banana peppers for a few of the recipes we're making. It's a little bit early in the season, but we're gonna pull these guys because they will actually make quite a bit more I'm just kind of anticipating we're gonna have a longer season. These do get bigger, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull them. A little bit early, but we already have a few plants that actually have some hot peppers on them. I mean, these are pretty nice size jalapenos. Got a bunch of them. Look at them. That's huge. Okay, I think that's all we need from here. We're getting started on our salsa. We are using radishes for this recipe. We've made radish relish before, but not salsa, so this is a new one for us, and we're kind of going to be just winging it. This was actually Eric's idea, I believe, since we had so many radishes. And a good way to think of it is we are like subbing in radishes for tomatoes if you were making like a tomato salsa. The first thing I have to do is get these in a stock pot, and I kept the chunks large because we are going to be immersion blending everything, so we're not actually leaving it chunky. Some of the other ingredients we're adding are tomatoes, lime, we've got a red onion, and the jalapenos that we picked in the garden. Okay, that's most of our ingredients. We added in a big old handful of garlic scapes and our cilantro that we picked. We've got some various spices going into here as well, and one whole dried chili pepper. I'm not quite sure how much vinegar we added. We are going to be doing this to taste, so a lot of those vegetables are actually going to put off quite a bit of moisture. We're just going to bring it up to heat and see what we need to add to it. And while that's cooking, we're going to get started on something else. We are making pickled peppers and garlic scapes this year. Garlic scapes, I didn't mention it before, they are only for a very short period that you can harvest them. Even though we have a bunch of different varieties of garlic, they only put off a scape for a short period and you come along and harvest them. So it's like 2 weeks that you get them. So it's kind of nice to have these in the winter. We're going to be freezing some of them for winter, and we are also going to be fermenting some of them for a few recipes down the road. You know it's canning season when our 20-inch stove is completely full with pots. The salsa is looking amazing in the back. It's actually turning this really cool pink color from the radishes. We have our water bath canner over here, and we clean our jars and we have them heating up. So we've got our peppers and our scapes packed into jars, and we are starting on the brine. We need 6 cups of brine, and we are using a 2-to-1 vinegar to water ratio. We've got some seeds going in there. We've got mustard, coriander, and some black peppercorn. And then we do like to add a little bit of sugar to ours. Probably gonna do maybe like 2 tablespoons, and then a bit of salt. And I'm just gonna get this heating up. We're gonna get a sprig of dill on top of each of these, and our brine is hot, so we're gonna get it poured over. That should fit there. We're gonna be water bathing these for 15 minutes. Usually Eric and I actually just do open kettle for our peppers that we preserve this way. That's because we like it to be really crunchy, but we're adding the garlic scapes this time, and I kind of want it a little bit softer. Man, these look fantastic. I am super thrilled about those. Green goodness there. And I think our salsa's done, so it may be time to immersion blend it. Okay, it may be wise to wait until that is cooled before you do that, but that worked out for us. We've got a lovely consistency. We tried it. It tastes odd, and in a good way. It honestly tastes a lot like a blended salsa. So it's a little bit surprising. It just tastes a little more mild than if you had like tomatoes in there. So this is already ready to put in jars. The peppers and the garlic scapes are done. We're going to be throwing in our salsa now. And I think they should all fit in there, and they are also going to go for 15 minutes. All right, these look awesome. We're gonna be letting this cool and eating some pickled pike tacos for dinner, but I have one more thing I have to do, which is ferment our garlic scapes. There you go, it's as simple as that. We topped our garlic scapes off with the brine water, and so when you're fermenting, it's really simple. It's about 1 to 3 tablespoons. It's kind of based off preference to 1 quart of water. So we kind of use in between that mark. I'm just gonna close this off. I will have to check it to make sure we release the air, and we're just gonna store it on our back counter for about 2 weeks. There you go. Those are our pickled pike tacos. They look lovely. We've got our radish salsa on there and some lightly cooked up scapes. Scapes are really good raw, preserved, of course, and lightly cooked. They're really good like that too. So we have a full day of canning under our belt, and we are going to enjoy dinner. Do you like the scapes?
Mm-hmm. Right.